Hey, my name is Ethan. I'm 26. 3 weeks ago, I was just the IT guy nobody noticed, until I fixed my boss's phone and saw a photo she never meant anyone to see. She walked in while it was still on my screen, barefoot, holding 2 coffees, and instead of yelling or firing me, she sat down beside me and asked, "Do I look good to you?" I can still smell her citrus perfume mixing with burnt office coffee. She was 42, married, my boss's boss. And that question changed everything. If you're watching this right now, tell me where you're from in the comments, because I still don't know if what we did was wrong. I sat alone in the IT room at 11:30 on a Wednesday night, listening to a voicemail I'd already played 14 times. Her voice was calm, professional. "Ethan, it's Clara. Call me back when you can." 7 words, 32 letters, the kind of message that should mean nothing. But I'd been staring at her contact photo for the past 20 minutes, my thumb hovering over the call button, unable to move. The blue glow from my monitors painted everything in that cold tech light I usually found comforting. Not tonight. The AC hummed, the servers whirred. Somewhere down the hall, the cleaning crew's vacuum droned like white noise. I was supposed to be running a system backup. That's what I told myself when I stayed late. That's what I'd tell anyone who asked. But the truth was simpler and more pathetic. I was stalling, because once I left this building, I'd have to admit that whatever had been happening between me and Clara Hayes for the past 3 weeks, it had probably just ended. I walked the empty corridors of Hayes plus Cole Architects, my footsteps echoing on the polished concrete. Everything was glass and steel and expensive minimalism, the kind of place where even the air felt curated. Clara's office door was closed. Dark. I stood outside it anyway, like an idiot, noticing the faint trace of her perfume still hanging in the hallway. Citrus. Clean. The kind of scent that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. I'd been in that office a dozen times now. Started as just another IT ticket. Ended as... I still didn't know what to call it. The security camera blinked red above me. I looked straight into it, like I was confessing. "To understand why I'm here," I said to no one, "you have to go back to the morning I thought Clara Hayes didn't even know my name. 2 weeks earlier, I was just another tech guy nobody noticed. I showed up to work in a wrinkled button-down and jeans, carrying coffee from the corner shop because the office stuff tasted like burnt regret. My backpack was cheap. My shoes were cheaper. I swiped my access card at the lobby turnstile and headed for the basement. That's where IT lived. Below the creative floors. Below the conference rooms with their catered lunches and expensive water. We had fluorescent lights and the constant hum of server racks and zero natural light. I didn't mind. I was good with computers. I was good at being invisible. "Ethan, thank God." Mia Collins appeared at my desk before I'd even sat down. She was the office manager, 28, always smiling, always on her phone. "Printer on 3 is possessed again." "Possessed?" "Making demon noises and spitting out blank pages." She handed me a sticky note with the ticket number. "Also, you're a lifesaver. I'd have thrown it out a window by now." I grabbed my toolkit. "Windows are sealed shut. Building code." "Don't ruin my violent fantasies, Ethan." The printer wasn't possessed, just jammed with someone's botched double-sided job. I fixed it in 8 minutes while 3 designers stood around complaining about deadlines. Nobody said thank you. They just went back to their desks. That was fine. I wasn't there to be thanked. I was there because this job had health insurance and a steady paycheck, and my mom needed both of those things to stay stable. I passed by a brainstorming session on the way back downstairs. Through the glass wall, I saw her. Clara Hayes, creative director. 42 years old, though I didn't know that yet. I just knew she looked like she belonged in a museum. Elegant, poised, wearing a cream blouse that probably cost more than my rent. She stood at a whiteboard, gesturing at design concepts while clients nodded. Her voice was low, confident, the kind of voice that made people lean in. I'd seen her maybe 6 times in the 6 months I'd worked here, always from a distance, always through glass. I didn't think she knew I existed. At 11:30, Mia forwarded me a high-priority ticket. Urgent, Clara Hayes, presentation device, 11:30 a.m. I stared at it, then at the clock, then back at the ticket. Executives always did this, waited until the last possible second, then panicked. I rode the elevator up to the executive floor for the first time. The doors opened onto carpet instead of concrete. Real plants instead of fake ones. Everything smelled expensive. Clara's office was at the end of the hall. Glass walls. Her name etched on the door. Strategized narrative progression and pacing toward word count target. Good start. I need to continue with the presentation glitch scene, then move into the after-hours fix. I'm at about 750 words, need to get to 4,000. Let me continue with the story beats from the outline while maintaining the tone and style. I heard her heels before I saw her. Sharp clicks on the polished floor. She appeared around the corner, phone in one hand, coffee in the other, moving like someone who'd learned to do 17 things at once without breaking stride. "You're aight?" She glanced at me. Not unkind. Just busy. "Ethan." "Yeah." "Clara Hayes. My phone's having a breakdown in the middle of my presentation." She nodded toward the conference room. "Think you can save me?" "I'll try." Inside, 8 people sat around a table looking impatient. Clara's laptop was connected to the big screen, but her phone kept glitching, freezing, dropping the connection, throwing random notifications across the display. I worked fast, switched cables, rebooted, got the presentation stable. She kept talking the whole time, never missing a beat, explaining design concepts and timelines like her tech wasn't actively trying to sabotage her. I noticed things. The way she smelled like citrus and something floral, the way her hands moved when she talked, the slight tension in her shoulders. When I finished, I slipped out quietly. She didn't look at me, but as I reached the elevator, I glanced back through the glass. She was watching me, just for a second. Then she turned back to her clients. That afternoon, another ticket came through. Follow-up. Clara Hayes requests full diagnostic on phone after hours to avoid disruption. I assumed Mia had written it on Clara's behalf. I stayed late. The office emptied out around 6. By 7, it was just me and the cleaning crew and the hum of the AC. I took the elevator back up with my toolkit and a paper cup of burnt office coffee. Clara's door was open. She was on a call, her back to me, speaking in that calm voice that never seemed to crack. "It's fine. We'll celebrate another time. No, I understand. I said it's fine, Daniel." Daniel, her husband. I'd heard people mention him. Some corporate lawyer, always traveling, always important. She ended the call and turned. Saw me. Smiled a little. "You're Ethan, right?" That surprised me. I'd figured she didn't know my name. "Yeah. Thank you for earlier. That presentation was critical." She handed me her phone. It keeps freezing when I open photos, and the cloud storage is acting strange. I sat at her desk. She took off her heels, rubbing one foot absently. It was such a human thing. Made her seem less like a museum piece. "How long have you worked here?" she asked. 6 months. "You're good. Raj mentioned you saved an entire design file last month." I hadn't known anyone noticed. "Just doing my job." "Still." She leaned against the desk. I rely on people who keep things running. Most people don't see that work. I plugged her phone into my laptop, started the backup. She left to get more coffee, and I tried not to think about the fact that I was alone with a married woman's phone at 7 p.m., running diagnostics that gave me access to everything. The backup crawled along. I checked settings, storage, photo library. A folder caught my eye. Date stamped. Password protected, but the backup bypassed it automatically. I shouldn't have opened it. I hovered there, cursor blinking, knowing this was the line you didn't cross. Then the device glitched again. The folder opened on its own. A photo loaded. Thumbnail first, then full size. Clara. In a bathroom mirror. Dim light. Wearing something pale and minimal. A slip, maybe. Hair down. No makeup. No filters. Just her looking at herself like she was trying to figure something out. It wasn't pornographic, but it was private. Vulnerable. Raw. I froze. My heart kicked against my ribs. I heard her heels clicking back down the hall. I tried to close the image, but my hand shook and I fumbled the trackpad. She walked in. Barefoot now, carrying 2 coffees. She saw the screen before I could minimize it. The silence stretched. I could hear my pulse in my ears. I didn't mean to, I started. Do I look good to you? That was it. 5 words. Quiet. Not angry, not embarrassed. Just asking. I turned slowly. She stood there holding the coffee cups, looking at me with an expression I couldn't read. I'm sorry, the backup, it just opened and answer the question. She set the cups down, sat in the chair beside me, not across the desk, beside me. Do I look good to you? I didn't know what to say. My mouth was dry. You look real, I said finally. More real than the version everyone sees. Better. She looked at the screen. At herself. I took that on my birthday, last year. Daniel was supposed to take me to dinner. He canceled. Conference call with Singapore. She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. I got dressed up anyway. Took that photo. Never sent it to anyone. Never posted it. But I couldn't delete it either. Why not? Because I needed proof. Of what? She looked at me then. Really looked at me. That I still exist when nobody's watching. The words hit me somewhere deep. I understood them in a way I didn't want to examine. I'm too old for mistakes with phones, she said, shifting gears. Can you make sure nothing embarrassing ends up in the wrong cloud? Of course. And Ethan? This stays between us? Obviously. She almost smiled. Then Mia's voice came from the doorway. Oh, sorry. Didn't realize you two were… Am I interrupting something? Clara moved fast, grabbed her phone off the desk. Her face flushed. Just a tech issue, she said smoothly. Ethan was being thorough. Mia's eyes flicked between us. That look, that noticing look. Right. Well, have a good night, you two. She disappeared down the hall, and I absolutely knew, this would be office gossip by morning. It was. By the time I got to the break room the next day, Mia was already spinning her version. So I walked in on Clara and the IT guy having this very intense moment over her phone, she said to 2 designers. Like, very close, very serious. I stood by the coffee maker, pretending I couldn't hear. What do you think was on that phone? One designer asked. Probably just boring executive stuff, the other said. Clara's pretty buttoned up. I don't know. Mia stirred her coffee. She looked kind of flustered. Raj walked in then, saw me, saw the group, smoothly changed the subject to a project deadline, and I escaped with him to the 3rd floor. You okay? He asked quietly. Yeah. Why? You look like you're about to crawl out of your skin. I didn't answer. Listen, Raj stopped walking, lowered his voice. I don't know what's going on, and I don't need to. But be careful, yeah? Office politics are messy, especially when you're dealing with people who sign your paycheck. He wasn't wrong. I knew he wasn't wrong. That afternoon, an email came through. From Clara. Directly to me. Not the IT general inbox. Subject: Primary Tech contact Ethan. To streamline future tech issues, I'd like to designate you as my primary IT contact. Let me know if that works for you. CH. I stared at it, read it 3 times. This was a door opening, a legitimate reason to have more one-on-one time. I sat there for probably 5 minutes before I replied. Of course, happy to help. I hit send. Then sat back in my chair, staring at the blue glow of my monitor, wondering what I'd just agreed to. That night, at my apartment, my sister Lena video called while I was eating microwaved leftovers. You look weird, she said immediately. Thanks. No, I mean you look distracted. What's going on? Nothing. Work stuff. What kind of work stuff? Lena was 23, worked at a coffee shop, and had this annoying ability to read me like a book. Just a weird situation with a phone repair? Ooh, weird how? Never mind. Was it someone's nudes? Please tell me you found someone's nudes. Lena. I'm kidding. Mostly. She shifted, squinting at me through the screen. Seriously, though, you seem off. I'm fine. If you say so. She didn't sound convinced. After she hung up, I opened my laptop. Clara had added me to a private chat channel. Creative plus IT. Priority. We exchanged a few messages about a software update. Professional, normal. Then she sent, "Thank you for your discretion yesterday." I typed back, "Of course." At 11:47, my phone buzzed. Clara again. "Is it okay to run that update now? Can't sleep anyway? I should have told her to wait until morning. But I didn't." "Sure. Want me to walk you through it? If you don't mind?" We stayed up until 12:30, messaging back and forth about operating systems and backup protocols and insomnia. At one point she wrote, "You notice sounds most people tune out. I didn't know how to respond to that." "Good night, Ethan." "Good night." I lay in bed afterward, phone on my chest, listening to my cheap AC rattle. The blue light from the screen made shadows on my ceiling. She was married. She was my boss's boss. She was 16 years older than me and lived in a world I didn't belong to. But when she asked if she looked good, I'd told the truth. The next few days settled into a pattern. We messaged occasionally. Always work-related on the surface. But the subtext hummed underneath. In meetings, she'd catch my eye across the room. Just a second. Just enough. I noticed everything now. The click of her heels, the rustle of her silk blouses, the way she smelled when she passed my desk. One afternoon, she called me to her office. Her projector was acting up. I fixed it while she reviewed design boards with a client. When I finished, she smiled at me. Not the professional smile, a smaller, more private one. "Thank you," she said. "Just doing my job." "You do it well." Later that week, Mia cornered me by the coffee machine. "So," she said casually, "you're Clara's go-to tech guy now?" She requested a primary contact. It does that for executives. "Mm-hmm." Mia didn't look convinced. She's been way less stressed lately. "Good for her." "She also smiled at you yesterday, like a real smile. Clara doesn't really do those." I fixed her projector. "Sure." Mia's eyes sparkled with gossip energy. "That's definitely all it is." I left before she could say more. But she was right about one thing. Clara did seem lighter somehow, less guarded when we talked. We agreed on weekly after-hours tech checks for her devices, Security protocol, she called it. We both knew it was an excuse. The first one happened on a Wednesday. The office emptied. I went up to her floor with my toolkit. She was waiting in her office, jacket off, hair down, reading glasses on. It was the most casual I'd seen her. We sat side by side on her couch, going through settings and updates. Our shoulders touched when we leaned toward the screen. "How old are you?" she asked suddenly. 26. I was already married at 26. Different career, different life. She paused. Sometimes I wonder if I chose too safely. Safe isn't bad. It is if you can't remember the last time you felt awake. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just kept working, trying to ignore how close she was, how the rustle of her sweater sounded when she moved, how her perfume made it hard to think straight. When I left, Mia was still at her desk, packing up. She raised an eyebrow. "Big boss keeping you busy?" "Security stuff." "Mm-hmm." I could feel her watching me all the way to the elevator. On Friday afternoon, the sky turned dark. One of those summer storms that comes out of nowhere and dumps water like the world's ending. The office went into controlled chaos. People rushed to leave before transit shut down. Clara stayed, working on a major client pitch. At 5:30, she messaged me. "Laptop keeps freezing on large files. Can you come up before the building turns into a boat?" I grabbed my stuff and headed upstairs. The lights flickered. Thunder rumbled. When I got to her office, she was pacing, barefoot, phone pressed to her ear. "Yes, I understand. No, I'll get it done. I said I'll get it done." She hung up, rubbed her eyes. "That was Daniel. He's stuck in D.C. Apparently I'm supposed to teleport to some firm dinner he forgot to mention." "Sounds fun." "Delightful." She gestured at her laptop. "This thing hates me today." I sat on her couch with the laptop. She joined me, coffee in hand. The storm hit harder, rain hammering the windows, thunder shaking the glass. The power flickered. Went out. Emergency lights kicked in, dim and eerie. "Of course," Clara muttered. We sat there in the blue glow of the laptop screen, listening to the storm and the sudden loud hum of the backup generators. "You okay?" I asked. "I hate storms." She pulled a cardigan around herself. "Always have." "Why?" "They're loud, unpredictable, out of my control." She laughed a little. "Very on the nose, isn't it?" We talked while I ran diagnostics. Really talked, not surface stuff. She told me about her marriage, how Daniel wasn't cruel, just absent, how most of her life felt scheduled and transactional. I told her about my dad leaving, my mom's health issues, why I needed this job so badly. "You notice everything," she said quietly. "Most people tune out, but you see the glitches, the breaks, the small things. So do you." "Do I?" "You noticed me before I fixed your phone. You knew my name." She looked at me then. "I've been noticing you for a while, Ethan." The air between us felt charged, not because of the storm, because of the honesty. A particularly loud crack of thunder made her jump. She leaned in without thinking, and suddenly her shoulder was against mine. Her arm pressed to my arm. We stayed like that. Neither of us moved. "I orchestrated that first emergency," she said softly. "What?" "The after-hours phone fix, the one where you found the photo." She didn't look at me. "My phone wasn't really broken. I mean, it had issues, but nothing urgent. I could have waited. I chose not to." My heart was pounding. "Why?" "Because I wanted to see if the way you looked at me in meetings was real, or if I was just a lonely woman projecting onto the only person who didn't treat me like a title on a door." She turned her head. We were so close now. And when you saw that photo, when you said I looked real, I knew I wasn't imagining it. The laptop screen dimmed between us. Our faces were inches apart. Clara, I know, she said. I know this is wrong. I know all the reasons why. I just needed you to know the truth. The storm raged outside. The emergency lights hummed. Her eyes held mine, and I couldn't look away. Then the power came back on, full fluorescent brightness flooding the office, breaking the moment like glass shattering. Clara pulled back, cleared her throat. I should go. Make sure everything's secure. I packed up. We didn't say much, but as I left, she touched my arm, light, brief, and said, "Thank you, Ethan, for this, not just the tech." I rode the elevator down alone, watching my reflection in the polished doors, knowing something fundamental had shifted. The next evening, she texted from a new number. "My home Wi-Fi is acting up. Any chance you can take a look? I'm on a deadline for Monday's pitch." I stared at the message. This was crossing every line. Going to her house, her private space. Be there in an hour. I told Lena I had emergency work stuff. She didn't buy it, but she let it go. Clara's neighborhood was nothing like mine. Tree-lined streets, expensive cars, houses that looked like architecture magazine spreads. She answered the door in jeans and an oversized sweater, barefoot, hair loose. No makeup. She looked younger, softer. "Come in." The townhouse was beautiful. Tasteful art, warm lighting, everything carefully curated. I saw photos of her and Daniel, formal, professional, like they were posing for a company brochure. We set up at her dining table. I worked on the router while she sat beside me, close enough that our knees touched under the table. "I'm sorry," she said suddenly, "for pulling you into my mess. I came willingly." "That doesn't make it okay." She looked at her hands. "Daniel saw that photo, the mirror one. He found it in a shared folder I forgot to lock. He called it desperate. Said it wasn't a good look." "He's wrong." "Is he?" She met my eyes. 42-year-old woman taking sad mirror selfies because her husband forgot her birthday? Human woman being honest about how she feels. That's not desperate. That's brave. She stared at me. Then, without warning, she reached up and tucked a piece of hair behind my ear. The touch was so casual, so natural. It stunned both of us. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I didn't mean—" But she didn't pull away, and neither did I. We sat there, frozen, her hand still near my face, both of us barely breathing. Then she leaned forward, slow and deliberate, and pressed her forehead to mine. Eyes closed, just resting there. "I can't keep doing this," she whispered. "I know, but I don't know how to stop." We stayed like that for maybe 5 seconds, maybe 5 hours. Time felt strange. Then she pulled back, stood up abruptly. "You should go. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. You should go." I left, walked out into the cool night air, my forehead still tingling where hers had touched. I knew I was in trouble. We both were. The next morning, I showed up to work feeling like I'd been hit by something heavy. I kept replaying it, her forehead against mine. The way she'd whispered, "I can't keep doing this." The way neither of us had actually stopped. In the break room, Mia was already holding court. "Ethan's become very hard to reach after hours," she said to a junior designer, grinning. "Must have better plans than listening to me complain." I poured coffee, didn't respond. "Hot date?" she pressed. "Work stuff." Work stuff that requires house calls?" I froze. "What?" "Relax. I'm just messing with you." But her eyes said she wasn't entirely joking. Raj found me later, suggested we grab lunch outside. We walked to a sandwich place 3 blocks away, and he waited until we were seated to say anything. "You getting tangled in someone else's story?" he asked quietly. "What do you mean?" Ethan, come on. He leaned back. I've worked here 8 years. I've seen this movie before. Junior employee, senior, executive. Late nights, sudden familiarity. It never ends well. Nothing's happening. Maybe not yet. He picked at his sandwich. But you're spending a lot of time upstairs. And she's good people. Smart. But she's also married, powerful, and your boss's boss. Those aren't small details. I know. Do you? Raj's voice wasn't unkind, just careful. Because from where I'm sitting, you look like someone standing on a ledge trying to convince himself the fall won't hurt. I didn't have an answer for that. Back at the office, Clara sent me a message through the normal channels. Professional, asking about a software update, no mention of the night before. I helped her in her office that afternoon. She kept the door open. Stood farther away than usual. We made small talk about weather and traffic, and absolutely nothing that mattered. But when she laughed at something, a stupid joke about her laptop, only misbehaving when stressed, the tension broke just enough to let us both breathe. Mia passed by, glanced in, saw nothing scandalous, lost interest. That night, there were no late messages, no emergency tech issues, just silence and the hum of my cheap apartment AC. I told myself it was better this way. I almost believed it. Then Daniel showed up. 3 days later, midday. I saw him through the glass before anyone announced him. Tall, tailored suit, expensive watch, the kind of confidence that comes from never doubting your place in the world. Clara appeared in the lobby to greet him. They kissed on the cheek. Very formal. Very public. Mia whispered to the receptionist. I never see them together here. Must be important. I stayed in the IT room, pretending I wasn't paying attention. An hour later, I got summoned upstairs. Clara's office. When I walked in, Daniel was there, sitting in the chair I usually sat in, scrolling through his phone with one hand. Ethan, this is my husband, Daniel Hayes. Clara's voice was steady, but her posture was stiff. He's having issues with his phone, too. Constantly freezing, Daniel said, not looking up. My whole life is in this thing. Can you fix it or not? I can take a look. He handed it over like I was a valet taking his keys. Clara sat at her desk, pretending to work, but I could feel her watching. I plugged Daniel's phone into my laptop, started the backup. The device was exactly what I expected. Calendar alerts, legal apps, emails that probably cost someone their job. Nothing personal, nothing warm. Clara and Daniel talked in the background, low voices, not fighting, exactly, just negotiating. I told you I can't make Thursday, Daniel said. Singapore conference call. You said you'd try. I am trying. This is trying. Right. The backup finished. I scrolled through Daniel's settings, checking storage. His photo library was sparse, mostly screenshots of documents and a few event photos where he and Clara stood side by side like business partners. Then I saw it. The mirror photo. Clara's mirror photo, the one she'd taken alone on her birthday. It was buried in a shared folder, time-stamped from weeks ago. Daniel noticed me pause. Oh, that. Yeah, she left that in some shared cloud thing. I told her to delete it. It's... He waved a hand dismissively. Not a good look. Clara's face flushed. She stared at her computer screen like she could disappear into it. Something in my chest went tight and hot. It's just a photo, I said quietly. It's desperate, Daniel said, still scrolling his own screen. No offense to my wife, but nobody needs to see that. Clara stood abruptly. Ethan, I think we're good here. Just standard procedures from now on. No more special tech requests. Work through Mia's channels. I looked at her. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Okay, I said. Daniel didn't even look up when I left. The next morning, my access card didn't work on the executive floor. I swiped it 3 times. Red light, access denied. I took the stairs. Felt like a punishment I deserved. I messaged Clara about a system patch. She didn't respond. I saw her in meetings, walking through the halls, talking to clients. She never looked my way, never acknowledged me. 3 days passed like that. Then 4. Our private chat thread stayed silent. HR circulated one of those generic emails about appropriate workplace communication and professional boundaries. It felt personal, even though it probably wasn't. Mia noticed my mood. You okay? You seem off. Fine. Clara seemed stressed this week too. Everything okay upstairs? No idea. She tilted her head. Weird that you two stopped talking right after Daniel visited. I didn't take the bait. Raj bought me lunch again. This time I told him more, not names, not details, just the shape of it. Older woman, married, boss, connection that got too close too fast. Sudden cutoff. What did you expect? Raj asked gently. She's got a ring on her finger and a reputation to protect. You're the easier one to cut loose. I know. Do you love her? The question caught me off guard. I don't know. Figure it out, because if you don't, you're burning down your life for someone else's fantasy of escape. He paused. And if you do, it's still probably not worth it. But at least you'll know why it hurts. That Friday, I sat alone in the IT room at 5:30, staring at our dead chat thread. My thumb hovered over delete conversation. I couldn't do it. My phone buzzed. Lena. You okay? You've been weird for like 2 weeks. I'm fine. Liar. I'm coming over. She showed up at 7 with Thai food and a look that said she wasn't leaving until I talked. Okay. She set the food down, sat across from me. What's going on? Nothing. Ethan, you look like you haven't slept in days. You've been dodging my calls. And you have that look. What look? The one where you're quietly destroying yourself over something you won't talk about. She opened a container, pushed it toward me. So, talk. I picked at the food, didn't eat. There's this situation at work. With a person? Yeah. Girl? Woman. Okay, what's the situation? I struggled. Older, married. My boss's boss. We got close. It felt real. Then it stopped. Lena processed this. How much older? 16 years. Jesus. She leaned back. Okay, and you said married. Does her husband know? Nothing happened. Not really, just talking. Late nights. One visit to her house for a work thing that wasn't really a work thing. I rubbed my face. Then her husband saw something on her phone and said it was desperate, and she cut me off completely, and now I feel like I'm losing my mind. Are you in love with her? I don't know. Wrong answer. Lena's voice was kind, but firm. You either are or you aren't. And if you are, you need to ask yourself something. What? Would you still be this hung up if she worked at the coffee shop with me? If she made minimum wage and took the bus and lived in a walk-up like you? The question hit like cold water. I opened my mouth, closed it. Because from where I'm sitting, Lena continued, it sounds like you fell for her world as much as you fell for her. The nice office, the money, the way she made you feel like you mattered in a place where you're usually invisible. And there's nothing wrong with wanting those things. But you have to be honest about it. I sat there, staring at my hands. I don't know, I admitted. I really don't know. Then figure it out. She reached across, squeezed my wrist. Because you're a good person, Ethan. You deserve someone who wants you in daylight, not just in the dark corners of their failing marriage. After she left, I opened my laptop, drafted a resignation email. Dear Mr. Patel, I wanted to inform you that I'll be resigning from my position effective 2 weeks from today. Thank you for the opportunity. I've learned a lot here. Best, Ethan Ward. I stared at the send button. Couldn't press it. Monday morning, the firm threw a celebration. They'd landed a massive client, the one Clara had been pitching during the storm. The open plan area filled with catered food, champagne, speeches. Clara stood at the front in a black blazer that made her look untouchable again. Perfect. Polished. She gave a speech about teamwork and vision and all the things executives say when they're performing success. But I watched her hands. Saw the slight tremor when she lifted her champagne glass. Saw the way she gripped the podium a little too hard. Daniel was there, standing near the partners, scrolling his phone. They didn't touch, didn't even stand particularly close. Mia sidled up beside me. They always look like they're at a press conference, don't they? Who? Clara and Daniel, like they're posing for LinkedIn. She sipped her drink. You know, the only time I've seen Clara actually smile lately was when her tech guy swoops in to save the day. I went cold. What? Relax. I'm just saying you're good at your job. But her eyes were too knowing. Raj appeared, steered the conversation toward the client win, away from personalities. After the speeches, people mingled. I saw Clara slip into the hallway alone, adjusting her blazer, taking one deep breath before heading into another meeting. Our eyes met for half a second. She looked away first. I was the only person in that building who knew she'd cried wearing that blazer 2 weeks ago in her office during the storm. The only person who'd seen her barefoot and uncertain and real. That knowledge felt like carrying someone else's secret heart. That afternoon, I opened the resignation email again. Reread it, moved my cursor to send. My phone lit up. Unknown number, the phone's still broken. Be honest this time. Attached was a photo. I opened it with shaking hands. Clara. Same setup as the original mirror photo, but different. She was sitting on the edge of her bed, wearing an oversized t-shirt, hair messy, no makeup. The lighting was soft, tired, real. She looked directly at the mirror, at me, with an expression that was equal parts vulnerable and defiant. Another message came through. I changed numbers after Daniel suggested something more secure. I cut you off because he saw the photo and called it desperate, and I believed him. I believed that the worst version of myself was the true one. But I don't want to believe that anymore. Then, so I'm asking again. Do I look good to you? I stared at the photo, at her face, at the woman behind the glass walls and expensive clothes and perfect speeches. I typed, deleted, typed again. You look like yourself. And that's the only version that ever made sense to me. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Can you meet me in the lobby before work tomorrow? 7 a.m. as colleagues, okay. I lay awake all night, watching my ceiling, listening to my AC rattle, thinking about Lena's question. Would I feel this way if Clara worked at a coffee shop? I still didn't know. But I knew I had to find out. The lobby at 7 a.m. was empty, except for a security guard and the hum of early cleaning crews. Clara appeared in a simple coat, hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She looked stripped down. Honest. We sat on a bench near the windows. I'm sorry, she said immediately. Not for having feelings, but for how I handled them. I pulled you in, then cut you off without explanation. That was cruel. Your husband. Daniel thinks I'm desperate. HR was circulating warnings. I panicked. I asked it to revoke your upper floor access because I was scared of what people would think, not because I wanted distance from you. She looked at her hands. I hated seeing you avoid my eyes afterward. I almost quit. I know. She met my gaze. I could see it. The way you moved through the building like you were already gone. Your turn to be honest, I said. What do you want from me? I don't know. She exhaled. I know what I can't have. I can't have late nights at my house. I can't have... She gestured vaguely. Whatever this was becoming. But I also can't go back to pretending I don't notice when you're in a room. So what do? We try something different. She turned toward me. No more emergencies at my house. No after hours unless it's absolutely necessary and documented. No bending protocols. Everything visible. Everything professional. But also, not pretending. Not ignoring each other. You think we can do that? I don't know, but I need to try. Because the alternative is either I lose my marriage and my career, or I lose... She paused. The one person who sees me as something other than a title on a door. The security guard coughed pointedly, reminding us we weren't alone. Okay, I said. New rules, daylight only, professional boundaries. Thank you. We stood. The morning light was starting to filter through the lobby windows. For a moment, we just looked at each other. Ethan? Her voice was softer. For what it's worth, you weren't wrong. I do look better when I'm real. I just needed someone to tell me that more than once. The new rules worked. Kind of. Over the next week, Clara sent me a proper IT ticket. I came to her office with the door open. We kept space between us. Talked about RAM and processors and backup schedules like two people who definitely weren't thinking about anything else. Mia walked past, saw normal professional interaction, lost interest. Raj commented that things seemed calmer upstairs. I didn't correct him. That Friday, Clara and I ended up in the elevator at the same time. Another employee was with us, so we didn't speak much. Just a polite, "Have a good weekend." But when we both reached for the button to hold the door for someone rushing to catch it, our fingers brushed. She didn't pull away immediately. Neither did I. It was maybe 2 seconds of contact, accidental, meaningless to anyone watching. It meant everything to us. A week later, 7 quiet, careful days of maintained boundaries, Clara requested a settings change for her phone. Nothing major, she said through the ticket system. Just need help updating the lock screen and security options. I came to her office mid-afternoon. Door half open. Professional distance maintained. She pulled up her photo options. Most were generic. Architecture shots, company events, polished headshots. I had a thought, she said carefully. That photo you took during the storm, when I was laughing at the loading bar being stuck. Do you still have that? I did. I'd saved it in the backup. It showed up in the recovery folder. Her mid-laugh, fully dressed, no filters. Professional enough for an executive. Personal enough to mean something. Here. She looked at it for a long moment. I like that I can still look like this. You should use it. She said it as her lock screen. Didn't explain. Didn't need to. As I handed the phone back, our fingers touched again. This time it wasn't accidental. She didn't let go immediately. Neither did I. The screen lit up between us. Her laughing face framed in blue light, the moment we'd shared when everything was uncertain and honest and terrifying. Thank you, she said quietly. Just doing my job. We both know that's not true. But she smiled a little when she said it. 2 weeks after the lobby meeting, I was back in the IT room late at night. Not as late as before. Not for the same reasons, just running a routine backup, doing my job. I walked through the empty corridors, past Clara's office. Dark. She'd gone home on time. That was progress. for both of us. I stepped onto the small balcony accessible from the IT floor. Just a concrete platform, really, with a view of the parking lot and the distant city lights. My phone buzzed. Clara. Thank you for handling that patch today. Made my presentation much smoother. Nothing extra, no emojis, no subtext, but I could read the warmth underneath. I typed back, anytime. The night air was cool. The hum of the AC behind me felt comforting now instead of suffocating. I thought about Lena's question again. Would I still feel this way if Clara worked at a coffee shop? Maybe. Maybe not. The class thing was part of it. The glass walls, the expensive perfume, the world she represented that I'd never quite belonged to. But so was her honesty, her vulnerability, the way she asked, "Do I look good to you?" Like my answer actually mattered. I'd probably never know where one ended and the other began. Maybe that was okay. I shut down the last monitor. The blue lights dimmed. The AC lowered to night mode. In my head, I heard her voice from that first night. I needed proof that I still exist when nobody's watching. I understood that now, because she'd done the same thing for me. Made me exist in a place where I was usually just background noise. We couldn't have the movie version, the dramatic declarations, the riding off into the sunset. But we had this, the careful distance, the professional boundaries, the lock screen that said "I see you" without saying anything at all. Some nights she still sent late messages, always professional, always work-related. Some nights I answered immediately, always professional, always honest underneath. We'd found a way to exist in the space between what we wanted and what we could have. It wasn't perfect, it hurt sometimes. But it was real, and maybe that was enough. I walked to the elevator, pressed the button, watched my reflection in the polished doors. In voiceover, like a confession I was finally ready to make, I thought, I fixed her phone, but she's the one who made it impossible to go back to pretending we were just boss and employee. And maybe that's the one glitch I don't want to repair. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. As I stepped in, I glanced back at the glass doors of Hayes plus Cole Architects. One of them wasn't fully closed, just slightly ajar, like someone had left in a hurry and forgotten to pull it shut. Or like someone had left it open on purpose. A door that stays half open. Not an ending. Not quite a beginning. Just the space where we lived now. Careful. Bounded. Real. I stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. And I went home, knowing I'd be back tomorrow, and she would be too, and we'd keep navigating the careful distance between wanting and having. Some connections aren't safe, we keep them anyway. Some connections aren't safe, we keep them anyway.